Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be learning how to chain and how to single crochet. So for you beginners out there, this video is for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. I'll go ahead and get started into the materials that we're going to need. So the first thing we're going to talk about is yarn. So the yarn that I'm using today is Lion Brand Hometown USA. You can find this yarn at Walmart, Joann Fabrics, Michaels, any type of craft store should have this yarn in stock or something similar. It doesn't have to be this necessarily, but I'll go ahead and show you how you can tell what type of yarn you're using. So this is the label of the yarn. If you turn it, you can see the color. This is New York White. And then you can also see what size. This is a super bulky size 6. And then it also tells you what type of knitting needles and crochet hook to use, what size to use. And it recommends a size 9mm crochet hook for this size 6 bulky yarn. And all labels may be different. It's not standard for size 6 to only use 9mm. It depends on the brand, so you can always look at the label to see what type of hook is recommended. But for starting the crocheting in this video, I recommend that you guys use a size 6. It doesn't have to be Lion Brand yarn, just any size 6 yarn would be great. I love how thick it is. It's a lot easier to see the stitches and to see what you're doing. So I definitely recommend a size 6 super bulky yarn, and I'm going to be using Hometown. You can also opt to use a size 4. Right here I have more Lion Brand, of course. I have Vanna's Choice, and I'm going to spin so you can see on the label. This is a size 4 medium weight yarn, and it calls for a 6mm hook. Alright, on the label you can find out a lot about the yarn. You can find out how to wash the yarn, you can find out the color, and you can find out what it's made out of and how many yards are in your yarn. So this is 100% acrylic. Most of the yarn I use is acrylic yarn, and you can see how many yards and ounces is in that one ball or skein of yarn that you're going to be using. So like I said, I recommend big bulky yarn like this one. It's a lot easier to see the stitches that you're doing and a lot easier to work with in the beginning. So, and this is also the size yarn that I'm going to be recommending for our scarf at the end of this series. So if you want to practice with that and make the scarf with me at the end, that would be awesome. So we have a yarn. Next is hooks. So I have the 9mm that the yarn label recommended. Let me focus here for you guys. There we go. I have the 9mm hook that's recommended for the yarn, but to make things a little easier for you guys, I want to bump it up to a 10mm crochet hook. It's just one size up, and it's just a lot easier to work with, especially in the beginning. You want bigger hook, bigger yarn so you can see your stitches, and so things aren't so tight and hard to work with. So for my videos, I recommend using a 10mm crochet hook and a size 6 super bulky yarn. So once you have those, we can go ahead and get started. If you'd like to use thinner yarn, the lowest I would recommend is going to a size 4 like this one, and you can use a size 5mm crochet hook or a 6mm crochet hook, whichever one you prefer. Alright, and once you have your yarn picked out, we're going to want to pull it from the center pull, which is the inside of your yarn. In here, there is a yarn end in there hidden that you have to find. I like to put my fingers in there and just pull until I get some coming out. And you're going to have a big old glop come out like this. And you're going to ruffle through it and find your end. Aha, I found it. It's laying in this. You can see it, it's a little frayed. There we go. And the reason you want to do this is because once you find this, you're going to start pulling from the center of your yarn, and it's a lot smoother. You don't want to use the end that's over here, because then your yarn's going to be going like this, and your yarn ball is going to go everywhere. So that's how you find the center pull. And I'm actually going to be using a blue yarn so that you guys can see it a little better on my background. Alright, and once you get your yarn and your hook, we'll go ahead and get started in how to do a chain. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get started, get our hands busy, and once you have your yarn, we're going to go ahead and create what's called a slip knot. And this is, you're going to need to make a slip knot at the beginning of every single one of your projects. So to do that, you're going to have a long tail over here, and that's the beginning of your yarn, and you're going to wrap it around your index finger, and you're going to use your thumb and your middle finger to pinch towards the bottom like this. And you're going to take that tail over here on the right side, remove your index finger, wrap this yarn around like this, and you're going to put the tail into this loop that you've created with your thumb and push it through with your middle finger like that. And then pull the yarn and go like that, so it's tightened, and you can insert your hook. And if you pull where your working yarn is, this longer piece that's attached to your ball, if you pull on it, it will tighten. But you don't want to pull it too tight, because then it'll be really hard to start your chain. So I'll go ahead and show that again. You're going to take it, have a tail, wrap it around your index finger, pinch at the bottom with your thumb and your middle finger, pull out your index finger using your tail. You're going to wrap it around like so, wrap it around, push it through this hole you've created with your thumb, using your middle finger, push that tail through, pull it through like this, and holding on to the top of your loop and your tail, you pull both at the same time to tighten that knot at the bottom. And I like to just leave it loose, especially for beginners. Don't even have to pull on it, just put your hook in there, like so. And that is how you create a slip knot. Alright, so you guys ready to go ahead and learn how to chain? Alright, so once you put your hook in there, you're going to be holding your yarn in your other hand, whether it's your right hand or your left hand. You're going to hold it. People hold it in many different ways. You can hold it like me. I like to have my yarn inside my hands, and I clamp my lower 3 fingers around it, and then I have it laid over my index finger and around it like this. Or you can loop it twice around your finger. You can have it intertwined, just however is more comfortable for you. You just want to make sure that your yarn is able to glide through like this. You don't want it to be too tight. You don't want to be holding on too tight, because you're going to have to be pulling from this hand to get more yarn for your project. So just make sure that it's easily able to glide through your fingers. Alright, you can hold it, you can hold it like this, whatever way is comfortable. So once you have a comfortable way to hold your yarn, we're going to yarn over. So it's simply just taking your yarn and placing it over your hook, and it's going to go into that indent on your hook, and it's going to be held in there. So I like to have my hook facing upward. I yarn over, so my yarn is now in that indent, and then I turn my hook downward and pull through that loop, and then I turn my hook back upward, and that is creating your first chain. So you're going to place your yarn over your hook with the hook upward, twist your hook downward, and just pull through that loop like that. And that's how it should look for you guys. Let me focus in, sorry about that. There we go. And it's just that motion of yarning over pulling your hook downward and then pulling it backward through that loop and up again. So your hook is going to be doing a lot of twisty, so don't hold it straight and try to go like this. That hook needs to be moving, it needs to be fluid. So have a looser grip on it. Sorry, have a looser grip on your hook, because you're going to need to be turning it in different directions to get that yarn through that loop. So again, you're going to yarn over, yarn back in that little crease back there, turn your hook upside down, and just pull your hook back through that loop. Alright guys, that's all that it is. You're just going to be doing those type of chains. And just do it until you're comfortable, until you feel like you have mastered the chain. It doesn't matter, you could have a chain a mile long. Just keep doing it until you feel comfortable. And I always like to move my fingers and hold the actual chain so I have a better grip, because if I try to hold it down here and do a chain, it gets difficult. So you can keep continuing to move your fingers to hold your chain so you can create more. I like to do just a couple of chains and then move my fingers so I have a better grip. Alright, so go ahead and keep practicing your chains until you are very comfortable, and we'll go ahead and get started on single crochets. Hey guys, are you feeling comfortable with chaining? Alright, let's go ahead and jump into single crochets. So you can take your practice chain and do a little bit of frogging, which is just pulling your working yarn to make those chains that you work so hard on go away. That way you can reuse the yarn, so you're not wasting any yarn, but you're still getting some practice in. And you can go all the way down to your slip knot, so you don't have to redo it. Or if you want to practice your slip knot again, you can take that all the way out and go ahead and do another slip knot to begin our single crochets. So again, the slip knot is having a tail over here, putting it around your index finger, clamping with your thumb and middle finger. My focus here. And then removing your index finger, wrapping it around, and pulling it through that hole that you created with your thumb. Alright, pull it tight, and just put your hook right in there. Make sure it's loose enough so you have some leeway for when you need to chain. Alright, and now we're going to do chain just 11. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, that's 2 chains, yarn over, pull through, that's 3, and you can see how they look so you can count them easily. So this is 1, 2, and 3. They look like little V's. Right, and you're just going to keep doing that until you reach 11. So once you have 11 chains, we will go ahead and get started on single crochet. And we're going to be making a little square swatch of single crochets just to get some practice in for you. Right? So once we have our 11 chains, to create the square, we're going to skip the first stitch, which would be right here. You can see this little hole right here. That would be our first opening to put our hook in. So we're going to skip that one, and we're going to work right here in the second one. You can see my finger poking through. That's where you're going to put your hook. So you're going to insert your hook. Alright, and you're going to yarn over. So take your hook, it's going to be upward, twist it downward to catch your yarn, pull through, and you should have 2 loops on your hook. And then you're going to yarn over again, place that hook downward, and pull through both of those loops. So that is creating a single crochet. Alright, and we're going to go right in the next, we're not going to be skipping anymore, we're going to go right into that next one, which will be right here. You can see, if you stretch it a little bit, you can see that opening to where your hook will go. So we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through that loop, and you'll have those 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through both of those loops. and that's your second single crochet, and you're just going to be doing that all the way down. So let's keep practicing. Insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, having 2 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops just like that, and that's our third single crochet. Alright, are you getting the hang of it yet? And as you can see, I have my hook going up and down a lot, so hopefully you can get in the rhythm of being able to move your hook so it's not stiff. I know in the beginning this is how I tried to do it without moving my hook at all. I was moving my yarn a lot to accommodate for not moving my hook. And as you can see, it's a lot more difficult. So get comfortable with moving your hook up and down and those motions of pulling through. Alright, so we'll just keep putting our single crochets in each stitch, yarn over, pull through. And I like to scooch my stitches down, especially on video so you can see. Yarn over, my hook's downward, and I'm pulling through both loops. So we're going to do this till we get to the end here, because I want to make sure that you guys are putting a stitch in the last place here. Right, so this is our last stitch, and some people skip this because they think there's like a little knot back here. They think that this is done, but do not forget to put a stitch in the last space here. We're going to single crochet in that last space. And that's how your first row of single crochet should look. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and go to our next row, and to create another row to make our square is we're going to chain 1. So that's yarning over and pulling through that 1 loop on our hook, and that creates 1 chain, and that's a chain 1. And then you're going to turn your work like that, and we are going to work in the first opening right here. That's where you're going to place your first stitch. So you're going to insert your hook through both, that little V at the top. You're going to insert your hook so it goes underneath both of those loops, yarn over, pull through, having 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. So you're still creating single crochets, but now the placement, you're going to have 2 loops at the top there. So that's our next space we're going to put a single crochet. And the next space, and you're just going to do this all the way until the end. And you always want to make sure that you have the right number of stitches. So for this square, we're creating 10 single crochets per row. So to count those, you can count them easily at the top because they make those little V's. So this is our first one, second, there we go. So you can see the V's. This is our first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth so far. So you want to make sure that you have 10. And the reasoning for that is you want to make sure your edges are always straight. You don't want to have a triangle instead of a square. So you want to make sure your edges are always straight. So this is at the end of our row. And it's kind of hard to see that there's a stitch there. You might think you're at the end, but if you're using bulky yarn, it's a little easier to see that there's a big gap right here, and it's not even. So you want to stretch your yarn a little bit and count your previous to make sure that you have a stitch left, and then also you can see the gap as well. So you want to make sure that you're putting your 10th single crochet in the correct space, and that creates a more even straight edge, as you can see. And that would be your second row, and you're just going to keep doing this until you're comfortable with single crochets. So you're going to do the chain 1 and turn, and just keep doing single crochets, 10 single crochets across, chain 1 and turn. You just keep doing that until you're very, very comfortable with the single crochets and the motion and holding your yarn and your hook, and come back and we will learn how to do half double crochets. Alright guys, I added a few more rows so you guys can see what it will look like for you. This is just a little sample swatch to show you what single crochet rows will look like repetitively. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to get the hang of single crochets. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave those down below in the comments and I will be sure to reply as fast as I can. And if you guys are ready, you are determined, and you're ready to go ahead and get on to the next stitch, that's going to be half double crochet, and we'll go ahead and watch that next if you click on the next video in my playlist, and we'll go ahead and get started on that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Bye!